You need 4 main things to make the perfect game: a captivating idea, a unique visual style, addicting mechanics, and a story to tie everything together neatly. And that's why you're here today, to find out what makes the perfect game and how to plan it. If you already have an idea for your game and you think you need to skip this part, oh boy, do I have some news for you. Alright, that sounded kinda harsh, but it's the reality. Most of the times your first idea is going to be pretty hard to achieve. Most people go for something big for their first idea. Think about an MMO RPG or some sort of like crazy mechanics that are very hard to program. Even though I think having an ambitious game and unique mechanics or gameplay, it's important to have humble beginnings. Let's take my example. My first ever idea for a game was a survival, open world, RPG, co-op, ecosystem driven, story driven, Souls-like game. Say that 1,000 times, that was a mouthful. So what happened? I abandoned the project around 3 months into it, and the worst part about it is that I didn't touch game development for around 2.5 years after that. So to avoid getting into a pickle just like me, start small. Start with a small map, simple game, simple mechanics. To give you an idea, here are some snippets. I put some videos or stuff of my first ever project in Unity. It's a prototype that I made using only pre-made assets that I found on the Unity asset store, except the barrel. I love that barrel. You're gonna see a barrel at some point, and I love it so much because I made it in Blender. It's my first ever Blender project that I've ever made. It doesn't have any materials or textures or whatever, but I am very proud of that barrel. Have I talked enough about the barrel? Have the barrel, please. I love the barrel. The easiest to start small is by making copies of already existing games. The most copied game that I saw out there, it's Flappy Bird. It feels like every beginner game developer makes Flappy Bird some copy of Flappy Bird or some sort of clone of it. But I feel like Fruit Ninja would be a lot more satisfying to copy. Whichever it is, make sure to choose a game you really like and you'd love to copy. After you are a bit familiar with how making games works and you are sure that you really like the process, it's time for your actual idea for your first actual game, original game, let's say. I'm not saying to go back to your original idea of making an MMORPG, but what I'm saying is to strap that first idea that you had to maybe 2 things. So how does that work? Take, for example, Punch a Bunch. It's a physics-based boxing game, or maybe Inscription, which is a story-driven card battler. An amazing game at that, an amazing story-driven card battler, but you can describe it in 2 words or a maximum of 2 things, right? Another example, it's the game I'm working on right now, which is 9 Lives. It will be a story-based adventure game following a cat dealing with death, basically. Think of Stray, but arguably a lot more morbid. So try to find the core 2 things about your game and try to go from there. If you don't have an idea yet, there's a way to get one. There's the question of how you get good ideas and what should you do to get something original, think of something original. The answer to that, well, you don't really get ideas, you don't really chase them. I feel like ideas are a bit like wild animals. You don't really chase them, you kind of let them come to you. And how do you open yourself up for ideas? Well, it's pretty simple, you just experience life. Go and look at your favorite games and ask yourself, what would your twist be on it? What would you like to add? What would you change? And how would you make it? And before you think your idea has been done 1,000 times, let it be done 1,001 times, but this time with your spin on it. If you put your ideas out into the world will have its eyes on you. A lot of people will follow to see your achievements, while the other will follow to see you fail. Whichever it is, make sure to give them a show. First impressions are important, so make sure your baby game exceeds expectations. Make it pretty and make it yours. Now, style isn't always about looks. The style incorporates a lot of things. For example, will your game be a 2D masterpiece or maybe a 3D wonder? Top-down experiences are also cool. It's about the mood, it's about the colors, the music, and sometimes it's about the little things. Games are an experience, so make it a cool one. Think about what you want your player to feel like while playing your game. Do you want them to feel easygoing because they're playing a pretty fun party game? Do you want them to feel small against your colossal bosses? Or do you want them to feel anxious and uneasy while walking maybe dark corridors in your horror survival? And again, go and get inspired by other games. Get the amazing sound design from A Little to the Left, or the cool little animations that Punch a Bunch has. How about the simple but solid design of Slay the Princess? Remember to keep it manageable though. You don't try to get overwhelmed. Try to find a blend of all of those things that doesn't put you into a burnout. Here's a bonus tip for you. Embrace challenge. Think about it like this. A challenge is good, but an overwhelming mess isn't. You can use this advice for your style, but really, it's an advice for everything. Take, for example, my situation. This is a sketchbook. I don't really like drawing humans. I like drawing animals a lot. That's why my first game is about a cat, because I like drawing cats. But I wanted to learn to draw humans for a very long time now. And guess what? Even though my game is about a cat, it's going to have humans in it. So I need to learn how to draw and model them. And, well, this is what we're working with. Yeah. Hands are actually, I'm pretty good at drawing hands, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm kinda good at drawing hands. I drew this only by looking at my hands. I'm kind of proud of this. Not gonna lie. But either way, I'm not a master drawing humans, or generally speaking at drawing. I'm not the best. I'm at most mediocre at drawing. So I'm not a master at drawing, but neither should you. At the end of the day, you're a game developer, and if anything, you're a jack of all trades. You are supposed to know how to model, how to compose the music, how to market your game, how to program your game, how to, well, plan your game. That's what this video is about. So at the end of the day, you're not a master of anything but your own craft, which is theoretically game development. So embracing challenges while making your game is gonna help you with the process. Step by step, by practicing and by investing time in your craft, you're only gonna get better. Alright, this one is very important. Yeah, sure, you know how your game is going to look like and how it's going to feel like, but no one's gonna start up your game and be like,
look at it! Oh, so pretty! God, you're so cute! And it looks really, really good.
Why do I feel like I've been proven wrong? Even if the players are mesmerized at the beginning, that's not gonna keep them playing. The only thing keeping them from quitting and uninstalling the game, well, it's the game itself. Or better said, it's the mechanics and the story. It's about the fighting, it's about the collecting of resources, it's about the puzzles, the enemies. Your story and mechanics don't have to be complicated. Look at Fruit Ninja and Flappy Bird. They are both very simple games with satisfying mechanics and next to no story at all. It can also work the other way around. You can have an extremely amazing story, extremely captivating and engaging story with next to no mechanics, or like extremely simple mechanics. And for that you can look at stuff like My Child Lebensborn, for example, or Don't Escape, 4 Days to Survive, I think it's the name. I'm gonna put a picture up. At the end of the day, don't make it too complicated. Make it yours. Tell the world what you have to say through your game. Now that you have your vision, how do you keep track of that? Well, you go and find the tools. Most people put together a GDD, which is a game design document. It can be a PDF file or some sort of PowerPoint presentation, or some people just write it down in a notebook. Those are interesting ways to do it, but I am the type of person that needs multiple ways to keep track of their things. So would you believe if I told you that I keep track of my game playing different games? Yep. So what do I mean when I say this? Well, in a nutshell, my level design, it's made in 7 days to die, in the creative mode of that game. You can also use Minecraft, Vintage Story, and I think we could also use the Sims 4. So how does that work? I turn on creative mode and I use the extensive library of assets to make my own maps. That way I can later translate it into my own models and assets and put it basically into my own game. But why would you want to do that? Isn't it crazy to just waste time in a different game instead of working on your own? Well, that depends. If you're bad at visualizing your map or the size of it, putting it into a different game can help you, well, experience it for yourself first and see if you like it before you mess around with your game engine. The pros to this whole debacle of putting your levels into a different game, it's flexible planning, good prototyping, and nice referencing. You can just move things around without messing with your game engine. It helps you experience your layout even before you put it into your own game. I mean, think of labyrinths or complex buildings. It would be helpful for you as a game designer to have it already somewhere into a different game and mess around with it before you put it into your own. Alright, this was about level design. What about to-do lists or visual mapping? For that I use Trello, Mila, Node, and Obsidian. Not all of them at once. Right now I work the most with Trello, but all of them are perfect if you wanna, be productive. In addition to that, I have a physical sketchbook with concept arts and stuff like taking notes and again concept arts and stuff like that. So as you can see, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. So yeah, if you're like me, you're gonna split your planning between different media. Between your computer, sketchbooks, different apps and programs, and even your hand. And if you want to keep everything in the same place, even your drawings that you do in your sketchbook, try and save everything up in the same folder on your computer. That way you find everything in the same place, you can label everything, and you can keep everything tidy and neatly. But extremely important, okay? Organization. I'm serious. Keep your stuff organized. Because the bigger your game becomes, the harder it's gonna be to keep track of your folders. It can be extremely frustrating not to find something or delete it only because you named your stuff. So key smashing for naming stuff. Try to name everything properly and save it into a designated folder on your computer. Dedicating a few extra minutes to organizing everything when saving it up or moving it a bit around, it can save a lot of headache into the future. Your future you is gonna thank you. This video brought up a lot, so let me give you the core things. First, you keep your idea manageable but interesting. Second, you make sure your game mechanics and or story represent that idea in an engaging way. Don't be afraid to take inspiration from different sources. And third, find the best tools that represent you and your ideas and your style and keep it tidy. Well, now you know how to plan a game, so go and plan it. Ember out.